We'll do it live.
Fuck
We'll
it.
do it live. Fuck it.
This is good.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah.
So loud.
To play us out. What does that mean? Play us out.
That level of contempt from Bill O'Reilly is frankly a dying breed. I mean, the brazenness, the brashness of it, the outward showings of it. And I just wonder, like, will we ever see something like that from Ellen DeGeneres, or is she like so like deft at the contempt that she has for her staff that like it would never even come out as being on camera?
It might. I don't know. Did you ever see the video of Lawrence O'Donnell? That one I thought was just as funny. He looked like just as big a dickhead as O'Reilly.
It's true, man. Yeah. And it's, part of it too, I would imagine, is like, you could look at it both ways. On the one hand, you could say like, look, he's on camera. We've all had bad days at work. We've all done, acted in ways that we're not proud of at work. But on the other hand, it's like,
I have many times.
Well, I mean, not us, because obviously we're sweet angels.
Of course.
But for him, like, the other side of it is like, you are on camera.
Right,
so like, try to fucking control your emotions and like go, stick a tack in your thigh if you need to like blow some steam
and
up.
Contrast that with, and I hate to say it, like behind the scenes footage we've seen leaked of Hannity where he's vaping and he looks very chill.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, if you were him, why wouldn't you be chill? I mean,
he's tired. He's lugging that giant head around all day. The man is tired. He doesn't have time to.
Yeah, that really is the thing about Hannity, because there's a video I like to revisit sometimes from time to time, because I used to be, like when I was in college and I was, regrettably into people like Christopher Hitchens. I used to watch this video. I revisit it from time to time because it's really funny still. Of like after Jerry Falwell died and he went on Hannity's show to like shit all over him. Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, right.
And like when you watch something like that video was 13 years ago. But like every time I revisit that, like I'm always struck by just how much larger Sean Hannity's head has gotten. It's not even necessarily that he's got fat, but it's like that thing that happens to like some older men. Like Alec Baldwin has it too, where he's just like
I think Scotch makes it happen.
His head is just enormous.
Alec Baldwin really has.
Yeah.
He's put on a lot of head weight. He's put on weight, but it's mostly in the head somehow.
Well, he married like a 28-year-old yoga instructor, so the rest of them got a little skinnier, and he started dyeing his hair, which really just accentuated how enormous his head is.
It's true. I believe it is a thing too in like Hollywood that like a lot of actors have relatively small bodies and large heads.
There was actually, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Vanity Fair did a write-up on Angelina Jolie, and in the first paragraph, the person that wrote the article talked about how tiny she is and how large her head is.
Weird. If we can balance it out with on a gender basis, I'd like to throw Ben Affleck in there too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he is a relatively large man, but his head is like a third of his body mass.
Giada De Laurentiis is entirely like head and breasts. That's all she is. She's so tiny, and then like she looks like she's going to tip over.
Really?
Like a Funko Pop.
Yeah. Like I don't know how she holds that thing steady.
Yeah. Well, so I guess we owe it to the listener here to so you may notice a marked improvement in my audio quality. That's because I have a new microphone here, and we actually recorded this entire episode last night.
We did.
What happened?
I'm still not entirely sure. I sure hope it doesn't happen again, but somehow we lost the file.
I wouldn't rule out 3-letter agency involvement.
I think it was an act of God because we spent the entire episode denying the sincerity of Roger Stone's
besmirching his newest greatest servant, the stone by which he's going to slay Goliath.
Right. Yeah, Goliath is the deep state. Yeah, that's the way it works.
Man.
Yep.
If only he wasn't part of it for like a good majority of his career in manipulating State Department policy
right.
on behalf of foreign governments.
Yeah, if only he literally wasn't one of the most instrumental people in like setting up the lobbying apparatus as we know it today. I mean, literally he is the deep state. He is the swamp. You can't get anybody, more representative of the swamp, as Trump calls it.
And yet doesn't have much to show for it.
Well,
really, he and Manafort both, just the amount of money they managed to blow
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
So true.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely true.
Because they're getting that, like,
Well, right, you know,
that
I mean,
South Asian dictator money. I
Right.
mean, they're getting, like, I'm sorry, the tobacco industry just doesn't have money to throw around like military
pay.
dictatorships.
well,
do.
I mean, you know, they both really, you know, they like to blow a lot of money on expensive clothes, and Manafort also, you know, as we all know, also, you know, likes to spend a lot of money, you know, going to like hostels in Ukraine to torture people and make snuff films. Probably, I'm assuming.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
But
yeah.
he's in prison now, so it's
He's at home.
Didn't he go back? Oh no, Cohen went back.
Cohen
yeah.
went
that's
back.
Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cohen. What a fucking idiot, by the way.
Moron.
What a fucking, you were given, like, you talk about a fucking act of God. Like,
Right.
no one could have made out better than Cohen. And then he totally fucking boned it. What an idiot, man. What an idiot. Now he's back
Yeah.
in prison with,
It's so
like,
good.
with
I love all these people.
Mike Sorrentino.
I love these guys that just gave everything to Donald Trump and then just got fucked as a result of it so
Yeah.
badly.
Famously-
it's so good. Yeah.
Famously loyal Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Fucking fools. What? Okay, so dissect that for a second. What could it be? Is it that Donald Trump is such a master manipulator that, like, he brings guys into his orbit and he puts on the charm and he's like, oh, you're gonna be great. We're gonna make you money. You're gonna go hand over the fist. You're gonna be able to go home and eat as many Big Macs as you want, whatever he says. Or is it that these people that do get into that position are so fucking dumb and gullible and just like chasing their own grift so hard that they don't even like look around just with any situational awareness to realize how much danger they're in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I mean, like, you know, as much as, you know, people don't want to admit it, Donald Trump does have a certain charisma to him.
Oh.
You know, absolutely. He is charming, he is charismatic, and he is, I guess, in his own way, articulate in that, like, he fucking doesn't have any problem talking, and he never shuts the fuck up, you know? I mean, I guess, like, you know, if you're a shady shithead and you want to make a bunch of money, you know, he's a great fucking boat to fucking attach to like a goddamn barnacle.
Well, he
It's
also
true.
only employs desperate people. He likes to get people under him that are dependent upon him. And he likes to have created people.
Sure.
And then they're disposable at his whim. I mean,
He's
that's
a mean girl.
Yeah, he is. He's a mean girl.
girl.
He creates dependence and fosters an environment where his employees, the people under him, are entirely dependent upon him. And whenever it's expedient to achieve whatever it is he wants, he discards them. And people still line up to work for him. It's insane.
I wonder if that's the relationship that he had with Roy Cohn. I mean, I wonder how much that was mirrored after Roy Cohn and his relationship with him, because he was desperate to get out under the shadow of his father and create a personality for himself, and Roy Cohn was there to show him that.
Well,
stuff.
then, but also he's the one who threw Roy Cohn away as soon as he got AIDS. You know,
Fuck.
once Roy Cohn got sick, he didn't visit him when he was dying. He totally threw him away.
You know, it's like a keen eye might be. This might be a bit too inside baseball with British television chefs, but a keen eye might be able to spot that Gordon Ramsay mirrored a lot of his TV personality and like literally some of the catchphrases that he uses after one of his mentors, Marco Pierre White, which was a kind of a Michelin star go-go 80s sort of chef in the who also in turn got a lot of his personality from Keith Floyd.
We were congratulating each other for remembering to save the file. So we don't lose it again.
I was like, shit. I was like, man, these guys are really on me with the British chef thing. I'm like,
Well,
man, they're really engaged.
I obviously know who Marco Pierre White is.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm going to know who the celebrity chefs are, especially the ones that are like best known for cookbooks and food instruction. But
he missed Marco Pierre. If Marco Pierre White was like 8 years younger, he would have gotten in social media. He would have been killing it. Like he would have been able to be as big and whatever as Gordon Ramsay. And because I think he's like a lot more compelling of a guy than Gordon Ramsay is.
And his cookbooks are amazing. Like,
Yeah.
If you've never, I know you like to cook and you're an excellent cook.
That's very kind.
Yes. And your plating is really, it's starting to look good, Dwight.
Work in progress. And it's only because I'm paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Everything else I was served like in a fucking cafeteria, just like, slop or whatever. But now I'm trying to thank you.
I know how Shane feels now when we talk about bluegrass.
make you learn how to
man.
cook. It's going to be great.
No, it's all right.
Oh, what a skill. What a skill to learn. I think that's also just like, not even though we're fucking just like going all over the place with this, like millennials, young people in general are just like so consumed with like learning these kind of like homesteady sort of skills and stuff. And I always wonder like what's behind it. And I think with cooking, that's just like something that people have been doing. Like people are home brewing beer and making bread for themselves. And like this is a skill that was like entirely abandoned by generations. And now we're just like coming back to it, except we're just posting it on Instagram.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not for me, but it's pretty cool.
What I'm trying to say is I killed my starter. My sourdough starter.
I did not make a sourdough starter. I somehow got through all of this, and I've never made a sourdough starter, and I don't plan on starting now because I think that Middle Tennessee might taste like death. I don't.
Could be right.
I think that it's going to taste like mosquito larvae and humidity, and I don't want an August sourdough starter.
Oh, man. That's so gross. Oh, I love it. I should mention as well, and we also alluded to this in the first iteration of this episode, is for those who are unfamiliar with the voice that you're hearing, we'd like to introduce Babs, who you may recognize from Twitter, aka is it Fanny _Omaha?
Yes,
or just
Fanny _Omaha.
And what was it yesterday that you self-described as?
Noted internet dipshit.
I love it. I love it, man.
Stupidity is my brand. It's who I am.
Man. Listen, well, it's always funny because, you know, occasionally if we have people that come on the show that have, you know, a podcast themselves or journalists or, you know, have bylines or something like that. I'm not to diminish your accomplishments. I hope we're understating it entirely. But I was like, oh, how do we introduce it?
Yeah, no, I have nothing to plug. I have nothing to sell. Yeah, don't even follow me. It's really not worth the click.
I can disagree with that. I can disagree with that. Easily one of my favorite accounts.
My dog is being good this morning.
Yes, she is. She's an angel.
I see that.
Yeah.
She really is cute. She's sweet as hell. Entirely jealous.
Yeah, it took. I mean, it's you know, and it's probably worked out for the best that we had to scrap last night's episode.
Yeah,
because
she does well in the morning.
She was being a monster.
No.
While we recorded last night.
She just loved you too much to contain it.
Yeah.
She's a puppy.
I know.
Like 3 months old.
I know. She's my angel.
Yeah. I wish you could see how she's like snuggled up into him right now. It's so sweet.
Yeah, all day.
Oh man.
This is how she lives.
So I mean, and it's a good thing too that like dogs really are more context people, or more context animals as far as what you're saying, because the things that you're going to be exchanging over the microphone today, passing over her ears, are some of the most like disgusting.
I've put earplugs in her ears.
Dreadful facts that I've ever had the displeasure to learn about.
I want my niece protected from this horrible knowledge.
She's a Republican, actually.
Is she?
Yeah, she's
I can
voting.
change her.
She's voting for Trump. I've tried to talk her out of it. But
what do you think? What is she a one policy voter? I mean, is there? She likes the dog whistles.
yeah. Stella says, "Keep America great."
That's good.
Hashtag QAnon.
Where puppies go one, puppies go all.
Why don't we get into some of the context here, and let's
do it, my friend.
Again, I can't overstate this enough. How early on this catch you are to understand what's going on with Roger Stone, because nobody else is talking about it that I've seen.
Right? Yeah, and
we're pretty plugged in.
Yeah, this is his. You know, I mean, to summarize, Roger Stone. You know, after being railroaded by, you know, the fake and phony Mueller investigation and the elitist liberal media and the deep state, he was, you know, when faced with the prospect of prison, he had a very, you know, sincere come to Jesus moment, and he's now a born again Christian.
Jesus.
And he has appeared. I think he went on Franklin Graham's podcast, or he's done some like, you know, evangelical like radio stuff or podcast stuff, but like. This event that we went to on Sunday, this was his first event, you know, actually speaking at an evangelical church, telling, well, what was supposed to be, or what was billed as his, you know, Saul to Paul transformation, his coming around to Jesus and being saved. So, yeah, no, so, I mean, I think that this is very clearly his next grift. He's
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the prospects have run out. He's broke. He almost went to prison. He got his sentence. I don't think he didn't get pardoned. He got his sentence commuted, right? So
I thought he got pardoned.
Did he get pardoned?
I think he got pardoned.
Maybe.
I
thought it was commuted.
I think his sentence got commuted. Well, regardless, he's not going to prison now. But his days as a political operator are of any sort of legitimacy are long over. Certainly he's going to continue to work on lunatic fringe campaigns like Laura Loomer's congressional run and stuff like that. But yeah,
is he actually working on her campaign?
I believe he is. He's been photographed with her. I mean, he's down. He lives in Florida. Yeah, he's involved in it in some way. I'm not sure. I'm sure he's paid in some capacity. But yeah, he's definitely involved in it. But I mean, that's not most of the money. I think his angle now is he's probably going to write a book about his coming to Jesus, and he's going to do like a maybe a tour with Franklin Graham or something, or Jerry. Honestly, I think he's only in it to swap wives with Jerry Falwell Jr. I'm not sure.
That can be arranged.
Yeah, that could very easily be arranged. But regardless, yeah, I think that what we can expect if we're watching Roger Stone over the next couple of years is he's probably going to lean real hard into this born again Christian thing. I'm not sure. It would be very funny if he did. I think he is.
So there was, for me at least, there was like a lot of like lead up to you going to this event and seeing the man in person. What was the event billed as?
It was the Saul to Paul Road to Damascus story.
Wait, I thought that was a I mean, I know it's a story, but like, was it actually billed as that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was specifically referred to
as
a the pastor hosting it, Pastor Greg Locke, is a local crank gone national crank pastor based out of Mount Juliet, Tennessee,
where Charlie Daniels lives.
Where Charlie Daniels is interred. Where Charlie Daniels will return to ash.
Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace.
Benghazi ain't going away.
Yes, he walks with the angels now.
Yeah. Ambassador Stevens himself.
Yes.
Hand in hand through the fields in heaven.
Mount Juliet, for anyone that doesn't live exactly in the Nashville area, you have no reason to know anything about it. It's an affluent suburb of Nashville. Most of Nashville's suburbs these days are pretty affluent. That is full of building contractors that own boats and $60,000 pickup trucks that are too big for their garages.
Dude.
I'll
never understand it.
It's a very specific type of person lives in Mount Juliet, even by the standards of southern suburbs. But it's an affluent but not the wealthiest suburb of Nashville, would be the best way to put it, I guess. Rapidly growing and full of very, very conservative, very religious people. It's home. I think it's Mount Juliet Baptist Church is referred to as the Baptidome because it's so big.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
I want to go to a mega.
What?
I want to go to a mega.
Nashville's home of the mega church.
Yeah, my investigations are not over.
You can see our churches from space. It's ridiculous. And it's for anyone that has any exposure to the Christian metal scene. Pastor Bob of, if I remember correctly, it is Mount Juliet First Baptist or Mount Juliet Baptist, something like that. Pastor Bob is very well known within the Christian death metal scene.
No way.
Which is a thing that exists.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Christian music is really big. It's a huge industry in the area. It's
the difference being the lyrics, right?
Oh no, there's Christian music, like Christian pop especially, has a very specific sound, a very specific production quality used to it. It's like a very, very, very produced, like possibly even more produced than top 40 music. But it's like
awful.
It's
lame.
awful.
Lame.
Like the musicianship is always really, really high caliber.
Yeah, of course, especially in the Nashville area.
Yeah, but it's it all sounds either like early 2000s adult contemporary or late 2000s, early 2010s, not alternative, but like indie rock. But if you like made it really slick.
Right. Super produced, a lot of compression.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
yep.
In fact, the Roger Stone event, started off, they have, what was the name of the church? Global Vision Bible Church?
Global Vision Bible Church.
Yeah, they have their own house band. Again, like I said, being Nashville, granted, very good musicians, I'll give them that. But
a couple of the songs they had sounded like 2008, 2009 Arcade Fire.
Awful.
I like the Arcade Fire. I didn't think it was that bad, but
awful.
It was
wild to me.
I think that when the band started is really when we first stuck out as outsiders, because we didn't know because everybody else knew every word to every song they played and was like, doing the praise hands and like all that shit. And I tried to blend in. I mean, I got into it when Roger was talking. I yelled out, I gave him a couple amens and hallelujahs and.
Yeah, he really did. He was yelling. He got into the audience participation.
It was really fun. Very
Chris
fun.
was in his element during that.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Because I mean, like this was. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. This was like all of the shit that I'm into online. I mean, Roger Stone, just like that's like the icing on the cake. But it's just like the pastor Greg Locke, who is a lunatic. He is a like a minor MAGA celebrity and like Twitter personality in his own right. I think he has 40 or 50,000 followers. Just to give you a sense of where he's coming from. He had a tweet like when the DNC was going on where he like posted a picture of like the DNC logo and like tried to claim that there was satanic symbolism in the D. Like if you turned it on its side, you could see the head of Baphomet or whatever. And he's like, see, like they're not even hiding it. They show you just openly who they are. And like also included in his sermon, basically one of the first things he said was that COVID is fake. COVID is not real. And so, he's fucking great. But like the crowd was really like, I couldn't help but like, as I'm looking at the crowd, like wondering like there's gotta be at least one of these people has blocked me on social media. Like it's just like, statistically, like this is like 500 to 600 of like the most absolute lunatic, like QAnon meemaws and peepaws in the country. And like, I'm certainly they're all on social media,
But would this be the crowd that's like, at Karen 9482782?
Yes. These are the people with like, 3 followers and like, the default profile picture, like adding the president to revalue the dinar, to like just like screaming into the void. That's who absolutely who these people are. I'll say with certainty there were some dinar investors in that crowd. There were, I mean, at least I probably spotted at least 3 or 4 QAnon shirts. I'm certain there were way more. Like Where We Go One, We Go All t-shirts. There was one guy who had a shirt that said, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, MAGA hats everywhere, militia type stuff. Like there's a guy with like a 3%er kind of shirt who had like the join or die snake on the front of his shirt. That old political cartoon. There was a guy. What did it say? He had a shirt like an Elohim shirt.
Elohim.
Like a very, as she explained it to me, like sort of explicitly white supremacist thing on his shirt.
Elohim is the Hebrew word for God.
Right.
One of the Hebrew names for God. It is used extensively among LDS, but among evangelicals, I've only ever heard it used in the context of white supremacists. The people that the place that Timothy McVeigh was spending a lot of time before the militia camp that Timothy McVeigh was spending a lot of time in before the Oklahoma City bombings was Elohim City. Like it's
a yikes for me, dog.
Yeah, so I mean, we were deep in the lion's den.
Yeah, these are people that get very upset when you go on Twitter and tell them you're going to come to their house and take their guns.
Yeah.
They have an emotional response to that. These are not rational conservatives. They got
true reactionaries.
Yeah.
True reactionaries.
Yeah, there was some discussion that I overheard from several different people about whether or not Antifa was going to come and attack us that day, like whether or not there was going to be like an Antifa terrorist attack on the church. And in fact, there was one moment that was particularly funny where I think it was like right before the band started. It was like before the church services started, and there was a guy. Like this was, by the way, this this wasn't in an actual church. This was in a tent. This was like a tent revival type thing. So like there's the canvas, the canopy overhead, and then like it's all open around it. And there was a guy that sort of like walked up as if he was coming from the road, and he was like, the way he was walking up, he like approached the tent like from behind, like where the pulpit or stage or whatever is, and he was wearing like all black, and he had a black bandana. I guess he was using as a face mask over his face, and like I immediately noticed him, and like I was like, I bet if people don't know this guy, they think he's Antifa. Like I was looking around, and like he was getting a lot of very concerned looks from the congregation.
Jesus.
Yeah, and he was obviously like after the show, or after, keep calling it a show, after the service.
Yeah.
It was a show. After the spectacle, it was he was helping like load in the drummers.
Yeah,
drums.
he was like with the band. He was like
he's
some
a
kind of tech or something. I don't know, helper, roadie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In Nashville, our church musicians do have roadies.
Hell yeah.
That's a thing.
It's quite a production, I'd imagine.
Yeah, man.
Oh, if it sounded the way that it did from the clip that you sent me, I'm like, this is like high production value for like one church on a Sunday.
They're all like that.
Unbelievable.
When you get into the evangelical churches, every Southern Baptist church in the area, you have to audition to be in the church band or church choir. There's a lot of them use paid musicians because they do require like 4 or 5 rehearsals a week.
It's like the Berkeley School to play to a bunch of white supremacists.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just that church. It's like every church. And they have, a lot of them will have like full orchestras.
Love it.
That's the non-denominational and Southern Baptist, and I'm kind of lumping those in together, even though there are key differences. But that's that experience.
So, at what point in the service did the man himself stroll in?
37 minutes in.
Yeah, there were the band came on first, and they played a few numbers, like 3 or 4 songs, and then the pastor himself came up, and he spoke very briefly, just mostly to introduce Roger Stone, but like he maybe spoke for like 2 or 3 minutes, but he did in that time say that COVID is fake and that Trump is sent by God.
Yes, and he made a joke about the fact that he was violating federal law by saying that it was an imperative to vote for Trump.
Right. Yeah. No. He was really like reveling in how much. I think he said this later, like during his sermon, but he was like really reveling in how much he was like triggering the libs or whatever, because he was talking about how he's like, yeah, the local sheriff's department, they called me this morning and said their phone is ringing off the hook. People are trying to shut this thing down. They're calling the police on us, telling them we're having a political rally at a church, which they were literally. But he's like, this isn't a political rally. This is a Jesus rally. But he was like very proud of just how much he was triggering the libs or whatever.
That's like a hair of a difference away from when DJ Khaled said that Apple called up to say that they needed to turn on more servers because the single that he just dropped was so hot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, and like, yeah, there was, last weekend, or the weekend before the Roger Stone event, there was an article in the local newspaper here about the church being vandalized. Like, so somebody broke into the church, brought a can of spray paint, and like, trespassed on church property, broke into the church, vandalized the church, and then wrote "F-U" on the pulpit, but like wouldn't write out the F word. And like, I really don't believe that like the person who broke into a church and to vandalize it wouldn't write fuck.
No way.
They really it's like that Black's Rule picture. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's like very, it very clearly seems like a false flag to me. So, so Pastor Locke was like, very obviously, like, he wanted to make a spectacle of it. He was trying to bait protesters to show up, almost certainly. Like, certainly he wanted Antifa to show up and all that sort of shit. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning how effective he is.
He's a good speaker.
Because, and
he's a powerful speaker.
Well, specifically what I wanted to mention is the fact that he was talking about the probably $65,000-$70,000 piece of land that was being donated to him by someone that's not. That was being donated to him by someone that's not even a church member.
Yeah. You want to tell it?
Yeah. He had contacted. They're trying to expand the church, trying to expand parking specifically. obviously, because they're being forced to have outdoor sermons right now because of COVID restrictions. And there's about an acre of wooded land immediately behind the church. And this is in a fairly heavily developed area, not a lot of open land. And it's in Nashville, which has insanely high land costs right now. And it's just a piece of wasteland, like with no street access. But it's still probably worth $65,000, $70,000 because it's land in the Nashville area, and it's an acre of undeveloped land. But he was talking about having gone through the effort to track down the owner of the parcel to purchase it, and that the owner of the parcel said that he would donate the land and that they could go ahead, even though it would take longer to manage the actual transfer of title, that they were more than welcome to go ahead and start bring in bulldozers and start flattening it to expand their parking lot.
It's just so striking to me that like time would be spent during this church service. Like I would understand if there was like a subcommittee that was talking about this on like a Tuesday night over, tea and coffee and stuff like that. But like to be talking about this during the main service ahead of, it's just so weird to me.
Well, not even just talking about that. I mean, I was really struck by, this literally was a political rally. Like the pastor is explicitly, like, not only in his personal life, like, in his personal time, like on Twitter, on social media or whatever, but like while he's like during his sermon as the pastor of his church, which is tax exempt because they're not, for one thing, not supposed to be involved in, they're not supposed to do that. But he's explicitly, Donald Trump is sent by God. This is the battle. This is the battle for Western civilization. We are the silent majority. It was explicit in a way that I was not even prepared for. I was not prepared to hear a pastor say all of these things. COVID is fake. All these things from his pulpit.
And he really did describe it as a moral and spiritual imperative specifically to vote for Donald Trump.
Yes.
I don't want to cut to the chase here, but I'm just thinking about something right now, which is like the fact that it's tax exempt. What I'm about to say is that I'm losing my mind a bit, if you can't tell. It's like what I'm thinking about is like the fact that it's tax exempt, and the fact that what would police this would be like the Federal Elections Commission,
right? Because like the local sheriff, like they're calling him up to fucking hee-haw about all the calls they're getting from the libs who hate him. You know what I'm saying? Like they're hand in hand.
But no one's running for office except for Trump. But like there's no PAC or anything that's going through this. So like the question, what I'm saying is like, what would oversee this? Like, what would temper that? Because they're using our tax dollars because they are a tax exempt entity to hold a political rally. But who would even police that to say like, no, you can't do this?
Right. And literally, again, probably paying Roger Stone a speaker's fee in our with our tax dollars.
I would. Yes. I would like to anybody that's more thorough and interested in doing research than me, because I'm lazy. If you can find because my understanding is that all nonprofit organizations have to disclose their financial. So you could possibly not right now because it's just been paid out, but within the next month or so, find those disclosure statements and find exactly what Roger Stone was paid. Because there's no way he traveled here unpaid.
He was his travel, and it was at least paid for, and he probably had some sort of per diem or whatever.
Hotels in Nashville
certainly he received a fee.
Hotels in Nashville are more expensive than they are in Manhattan.
Yeah,
that's also worth mentioning. We have a massive hotel room shortage for the spike in tourism we've gotten in the past decade. Like, it just hasn't caught up.
They just closed the best hotel in Nashville, the Stadium Inn.
Yes, tragic.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, no.
I don't know. It's a crack motel. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a good time. Highly recommended. 2 thumbs up. I gave it a really good Yelp
review. It's totally
review.
Gutted. It's actually really funny. They're probably still up there, but if you're listening to this, if you want to read some really funny Yelp or Google reviews, look up the Stadium Inn in Nashville. I mean, it is really something.
And this is the other thing that I was thinking about with the pastor. And he's talking about how Trump is ordained by God to lead us or whatever and all this shit. What was he talking about during a service in like 2014? before anybody was breathing a word about Trump.
Abortion.
Like,
Yeah, probably.
Abortion. That's the bedrock of what his ministry has been for a long time. Is very, very anti-abortion.
Yeah, he in fact, he even, come to think of it, he mentioned it, bless you, dog.
the hell was that?
That was Stella sneezing.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, but I guess I'm just realizing too, like, what a radicalizing tool this is. This serves a function as.
Well,
like in our, in protection.
Pastor Greg Locke will run for public office.
Yeah, she keeps saying
He's
that.
gearing up for a run.
Yeah.
He just looking at him, he will run for either the state house or the House of Representatives. And he'll probably get elected. I mean, we're the state that keeps re-electing Scott Desjardins. Like, we love a fascist hypocrite. We love it.
Jesus Christ. All the way from fucking Al Gore to this.
How far we've fallen.
It's just like so wild.
When Al Gore's the best we can do, we're really a hopeless state.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Pastor Greg Locke, a little background on him. He's local pastor, probably best known for his crazy ass YouTube videos and where he talks about refusing to wear a mask, or if he has to wear a mask, it's going to be a MAGA mask, and for the fact that he made news threatening to knock I think it was a convenience store, but it might have been a fast food employee's teeth down their throat for asking him to wear a mask.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do you mean that literally?
Yeah, he said, "I will knock your teeth down your throat."
Now, was that
as a man of God? The divine.
Yeah, I was going to say, did Jesus say that?
Yes, he was actually a vessel for the divine voice when he said that. That was. He was the mouthpiece of God. That was a direct prophecy. That because if that person kept asking, he was going to knock his teeth down his throat.
Jesus.
And he is known in the area also for being the scumbag that had an affair with his church secretary, divorced his wife, mother of his wife of 20-something years, married, mother of his children.
His mistress was there, by the way.
Yeah, she led prayer.
Had a very active role. Yeah, she was at the end of the service, like when the time came to see what souls needed to be saved. It was his mistress that came up to lead the prayer.
After he talked about her literally being pulled out of a ditch as a pill addict.
Yeah. He was like
as a what?
A pill addict. He was like telling the story about like leading this prayer group, and like this woman came in like all strung out and like looked like shit, and her eyes were sunken in, and she weighed 75 pounds and this and that and this and that, and like it ends up like that's apparently his mistress.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's fucked. There's weird stuff going on.
Yeah, the texts he sent his wife got leaked, and like he was calling her fat and telling her haircut was ugly, and that's why he fell out of love with her or some shit. Like, it was
Jesus Christ.
It was ugly.
I mean, like, I think the best way to describe also this pastor's appearance is like, he's an Ed Hardy pastor, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just looking at pictures of him, and he's not a better descriptor.
Yeah, he's absolutely like, he wasn't wearing Ed Hardy shit, but
no,
he certainly does.
My man owns a thumb ring. I promise you, my man owns a thumb ring.
He was wearing his professional, he was wearing his church distressed jeans that day.
Yeah.
His Ed Hardy stuff
distressed
comes on his off time.
Bootcut jeans with like ostrich skin boots. I'm seeing that.
You got it. And a button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled up, untucked,
but not rolled up correctly.
No.
Or and most importantly, that the fabric on the interior of the cuff is a contrasting fabric from the rest of the shirt.
Absolutely. He bought it at Kohl's.
Right. Tell me he wasn't wearing a crew cut undershirt underneath the button down, did he?
I can't remember.
I'm looking this up.
You're looking it up? Are you gonna Google?
There is no worse an offense to wear a crew
not
cut
wearing
undershirt.
an undershirt is a worse offense.
Depends on the temperature.
No.
If you're sweating, it's a tough call.
In Tennessee,
there's a practical implication. Yeah, I could see that. But they make a lot of good options now with some deep cut V-necks, so you can get down 2 buttons and such.
Speaking of how these guys were dressed, I was absolutely delighted when Roger Stone entered the tent to see that he was wearing, the whole weeks I was like, man, I hope he wears like a white Tom Wolfe suit.
And what was my man wearing?
Of course, that's exactly what he was wearing. He was like wearing like an all like very like cream colored suit, and like he took his jacket off at some point while he was talking, and he had suspenders, and obviously this was all like bespoke, custom tailored, custom made, suit, his double vented jacket, which is so funny to me because like everything I know about Roger Stone leads me to think that he has absolutely nothing but contempt for the swine that he spoke to on Sunday, because I mean, this is a guy who said that a single vented suit jacket is the sign of the heathen or a barbarian or something. And here he is before speaking to like 500 petty bourgeois ski-doo dealership owners squeezed into haggard slacks and sweating through their polo shirts.
Yeah. If they were wearing a polo shirt, they were well dressed.
Yeah.
Most people were wearing t-shirts and jeans.
Yeah, she told me I couldn't wear shorts and a t-shirt, and then we get there and everybody's fucking in sandals and QAnon t-shirts.
I was raised Methodist, and you can't do that shit, okay?
But it's also
I was better dressed than the majority of the people there.
I mean, it's a Sunday in August in Tennessee. It's got to be like 95 degrees and 90% humidity.
Yeah, we were outside too. It was humid. Roger took off his jacket real quick, and like speaking of undershirts, I don't think he was wearing one because he was so soaked. His shirt was so soaked in sweat. I was like, it was transparent. Like when he turned around, I was looking for his tattoo, his Nixon tattoo. I never saw it.
For those that don't know, that is not a joke.
Yeah.
He literally has like a melon-sized Nixon head on the top of his back.
Photorealistic.
Yeah, I really wanted to.
It's a good tattoo.
If I'd asked him to see it, he probably would have showed it to me, even at a church.
Probably right.
I'd have gotten an invitation back to the hot tub if he asked to see
it's true.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, he's got a nice spread collar and he had a nice tie on. I saw the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a very fitted shirt.
He was wearing those. He's wearing the same sunglasses. He's photographed in them often. I think he was wearing them in the Get Me Roger Stone documentary as well. He's wearing these like circular framed sunglasses. Yeah, he had
Love
those.
it.
Yeah, I got a really good picture of him when he was coming down the aisle. Like he entered the tent walking right past us. But I guess we should probably get into the content of his talk. I mean, the main event. That's that's what we're here to discuss, I guess.
I'm sorry. I have to. This is for nobody but me. I'm sure.
Okay.
But like he reminds me, like with those glasses on and his terrifying smile with his fucking row of urinal teeth and in the way that he's dressed and the way that he talks, seems to me like he would be like an old timey prospector, like in the Wild West. And his name would be like Dr. Schmidt or something like that, and he would be a terrifying serial killer.
Well, I think that he's got the perfect. It's perfect for him to be there because he's got like the look of a televangelist. I mean, the suits and like the deep tan and like the shock of white hair slicked back. His fucking hair plugs and like, and he looks like a bloated baby Billy Freeman. I mean, he looks like a televangelist.
All right, let me get to Google.
He looks
Hang
like
on.
a televangelist.
His hair does
Billy
not
Freeman.
move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the plugs are because I'm taller than him.
Yeah, he's little.
Really?
I knew he was going to be little, but he's littler than I thought. Yeah,
I'm taller than him. Like, my eye line is right at his hairline, and those plugs are very evident. They are not well done
stapled
plugs.
in ant legs.
Yeah.
They look like doll hair.
Yeah. You'd think if you had that kind of money, you could like update your 1980s hair plugs with like modern hair plugs, but I don't know. I guess he
doesn't have the money.
Yeah, he's broke. Yeah, well, you should have done it 10 years ago. Tough shit.
Google is listing him as 5'11".
That is a lie.
That's not true.
I've got a picture.
He's probably 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a picture of me standing next. Well, it's not a good gauge for height because I very obviously do not want to be touching him.
Yeah,
I have like an arm around him, and the rest of my body is angled away very steeply. It's
Jesus Christ.
It's very awkward.
It's just the natural conclusion of of a weird kid, like a college Republican that was like really into politics, just like a weird nerdy kid
Sure.
that got no respect and just needed to have this like manifest destiny of like, I will, my will rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now here he is in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So, all right. So my man comes on. He's coming in like the Penguin, and he gets on stage. What happens? How long does he talk for? What does he talk about?
Well, he opens with a joke. Chris, do you want to try to replicate the joke?
I mean, he opened with this joke about like, it's in hell, and there's like 3 new arrivals to hell. There's one from Tennessee, there's one from Florida, and there's one from New York. And like the devil has a red telephone, and like they're all allowed to make one phone call. Like when they get to hell, and like the guy from Tennessee makes his phone call, and it's like long distance, and the devil says it's gonna cost like $5 million or some shit. And, the guy from Florida, he makes his phone call, and that's gonna cost like a bunch of money because it's long distance. And then the guy from New York makes his phone call, and it's like $5. And then the punchline is, what is it? Like ever since Andrew Cuomo became governor, like New York's gone to hell. So it's a local call. Like that was the punchline.
Oh my
which
God.
Which drew a hearty round of idiotic guffaws from the crowd. That was a real crowd pleaser. They liked it.
A lot of whom were too young to know, like for long distance rates
Yeah.
to be something that they really, because most of the people, I'd say close to half of the people there were not much older than me, and I've never dealt with long distance rates as a thing since I've been a teenager.
But people laughed out of like respect for the guy.
Well, no, they laughed out of like
Cuomo.
Yeah, the failure of Democrat-run cities and states. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's what it was. But then he followed that up.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just a wave of dread coming over me, thinking that like an entire section of a subsect of the country thinking that like Andrew Cuomo is the radical left.
Oh, absolutely, they do.
Dwight, I would like to
Wave
remind you
of dread.
that Trump is going to win this election.
Yeah.
Everything,
Joe Biden funds Antifa. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
I
Everything
wish.
we're going to say should just reinforce your belief that Trump is going to win
Yeah,
this election.
I already thought that, but like when I was sitting at this thing, I was like, man, Trump's gonna win.
Yeah.
He's really gonna win this. But like, because just based on the sincerity of supporters, there's nobody who loves Joe Biden as much as a single one of these the people at this fucking church loves Donald Trump. There's literally, there's no comparison. They will kill for him. They will murder people for him, and they have.
Wave of dread, yes,
Yeah.
and are increasingly continuing to do so.
Yeah,
a wave of dread coming over me,
Yeah.
thinking about what Shane has said on this program before about like how fascism can be thought of as a quasi spiritual movement.
Oh, buddy.
And
Did we ever see it?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Like, I'm familiar. I mean, I spent the first 10 years of my life in rural West Virginia, and then I moved down here. Like, I'm familiar with the evangelical churches. I'm familiar with this specific breed of religion, and even I was shocked. Like, I didn't grow up going to a church like this, but I've been around this my entire life.
Again, too, with the joke there that Roger Stone is saying, like about New York and stuff, like he's from New York.
Yes. And he's an
from
extremely
Putnam
New
County
York
or
person.
something.
Like,
Yes.
Well, he's from Connecticut.
I think he was born in Norwalk and then grew up in Lewisboro, which is right next to like Pound Ridge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's part of Westchester. I think it's
Well,
part of like.
in any case, he is the elite.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he is
Yes.
the coastal elite.
He and Trump come from the same kind of weird fops and dandies.
Yes, absolutely.
that are just like-
Stone comes from a working class background. Like, surprisingly enough, he has no
Sure.
grasp on it anymore. He has no connection to it, and has spent his entire adult life distancing himself from it and disavowing it. But he does have a very working class upbringing.
So the best that we can say about him is that he's a class traitor.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So speaking of him and Trump, so that was the next thing he talked about. After his icebreaker joke, then he goes on to talk about his his long relationship with Trump. He says, like, I encouraged Trump to run in 1988. I encouraged Trump to run in 2000 and 2004. And then, finally, thank God, he won in 2016. But, like, he talks about, like, I think he says he first met Trump in 1979. And then he says, he went to work, after Reagan won the election in 1980. Then, rather than go to work for the Reagan administration, he says that he went to work in what he hilariously called public affairs, which is one way of saying lobbying on behalf of the Marcoses and bloodthirsty dictators around the world.
What a distillation! What a reduction!
Making sure
of
Idi
the
Amin's
horrors.
interests are being addressed in Congress.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what he talks about. He talks about his work in what he calls public affairs and political consulting. He glosses over that, and then he tells this story, which the way he framed it, the way he started it, made us think that this happened probably 1980, 1981. We've done a little bit of research. This didn't happen until 1989.
Yes.
Correct? But he tells this story about, when he was working as a lobbyist or a political consultant or whatever, the Trump organization was one of his clients. And he talks about, Donald Trump calls him up, wants a meeting with him. He flies from D.C. to New York to meet with Donald Trump. And, like, when he gets there, this is what he claims, that there was, there'd just been a helicopter crash that killed 9 executives from the Trump organization.
That Trump was supposed to be on.
Right, yeah.
And had missed because he was meeting with Roger.
Right. None of this is true. None of this is true. In fact, if you Google this story, like, there's an article about it of, like, Donald Trump claims that he was supposed to be a passenger on a helicopter that killed, some of his executives. Like, this is absolutely a fabrication. First of all, there was not 9 people killed. Like, Roger Stone said 9 people several times. We looked it up last night. I think it was 5. It was 3 executives and, like, 2 other people. Like 5 total killed. But then he claims that like, this is supposed to be a story about how God saved Donald Trump for a higher purpose, but also about how good of a person Donald Trump is, because Roger Stone is claiming. And again, like, Donald Trump and Roger Stone, I assume, are the only people in the room here. So, like, we cannot trust. Like, this is two of the biggest known liars, in
a den of thieves.
Yeah. So what Roger Stone claims is that Donald Trump then, like, went down the list and called all 9 of the widows. We know it's only 3 of all the executives who died in the helicopter crash, and, like, in some cases was the first person to break the news to them that their husband had died.
Again, Donald Trump might be the most emotionally uncourageous man on earth.
Yeah.
Firing members of his cabinet and the head of the FBI via television.
Yeah.
Like, not being able to make the personal phone call to even fire them himself. And that's even, like, that was well documented within the Trump organization. Like, he would never have the stones to fire somebody himself. Like, he would always do it through somebody else.
Well, it's like, even, like, as president, I don't remember much of the details of it, but remember, like, 2 years ago where he, like, had that little, like, minor thing. He had that, like, minor beef with that congresswoman from Florida, because, like, remember, he, like, was, like, an idiot. Like, he fucked up, like, calling the widow of some, like, troop who died. Remember those 4 troops who died in Africa, and, like, he called the widows, and, like, remember, he was like a big fucking
Niger or
something. He was a big fucking jackass just with that on the phone with the widow. Yeah.
Well, the husband seemed like a really great guy.
Yeah.
Looked like a powerful guy. Did he lift? Did he do the bench press?
Yeah. But very little research shows that Roger Stone lied about the number of people that died, that Trump was not supposed to be on the helicopter, and that before the funerals, Trump was already blaming these executives for bad performance of his casinos in Atlanta.
No way. No way.
Also, that he was there's some sketchy details around it. Apparently, even though Trump had a fleet of private helicopters that his executive staff used regularly to travel around the region, nobody knows why he hired this outside company to fly this specific specific flight instead of using the helicopters, that there are no flight logs saying that the other helicopters were used that day.
Creepy.
So there's no documentation that anyone's found. There may have been a reason. This is just conspiracy theory, but it's Chris and I, and you're going to get a little bit of conspiracy theory. That's just
listen.
we love it.
That's what you pay for.
Yeah.
You buy the ticket, you ride the fucking ride.
Yeah, Donald Trump killed them, literally.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Donald Trump,
Maybe.
President Donald John Trump, the dumbest fucking middle name in the history of middle names.
Yeah. It's not a real
murdered
name.
3 of his executives through
Allegedly.
negligent helicopter hire.
Allegedly, hilariously allegedly. Okay, so what was the content of Stone's speech? The rest of the content of Stone's speech, like what was it? What was his shtick? Like, what's he trying to prove?
Well, he spent 7 minutes at the beginning of his speech just absolutely going to town on Donald Trump. Just loves Donald Trump. This is the greatest man humanity has ever produced. This is the greatest president of his lifetime.
And again, he this is just more evidence of his contempt for the audience.
Yeah.
Like, he knows the fucking idiotic hogs he's speaking to.
Yes.
So he's going to say stuff like, God is, Trump is sent by Jesus to, save the Western civilization. Like, he knows who he's talking to.
He specifically said the words, "The Lord saved Donald Trump's life," in this period, in this 7 minutes.
He saved him for a higher purpose.
You guys might not know this because you're not on TikTok, but like there's a new trend where and people that are listening will recognize this. There's a new trend where you like talk to your dog using all of the good keywords. Where you're like, so anyway, I was thinking about taking a walk later on today to get a treat, and then going in the car to take a little trip and go to Nana's house. Like doing those things, like that to me is what's going. Like, is she's just throwing in those keywords that are just spiking serotonin.
This is when he hugs the flag, or this is when Trump hugs the flag or kisses the Bible.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing. It's just
you love this book, don't you, folks? You folks go crazy for this book.
It's just pure contempt.
Then he spends 3 minutes just simply listing policy positions. That's all he did.
Yeah, he talks about fucking taxes and
the war in the Middle East, civil liberties. By civil liberties, he means wiretapping.
Yeah, this is a church sermon, by the way.
Immigration policy, crime, trade policy, tax policy, and the gold-backed specie.
The Clinton crime family. He talks about, he plugs his book. He plugs his website where you can buy his shirts and stuff.
And then he goes on to spend
he mostly the rest of it,
40 minutes, almost 40 minutes whining.
This bitching, just whining about how he was railroaded. And again, like this was billed, and what I was expecting was like going into something like this, like you're expecting sort of like, the sincere telling of, I was a sinner, this is how I sinned, this is how I found Jesus, and then this is how I am now.
That's a testimony, right?
Right, that's what you're
expecting.
That's what it is. That's what it's billed as. And Roger Stone's sins are obviously numerous, but I was thinking that like at the very least he would like seem contrite, or he would like at least feign remorse for like his life of lying and trickery and that sort of stuff. But like literally, like all his testimony was I was unfairly railroaded by the fake and phony Mueller investigation, and the elite liberal media, and then like when faced with the prospect of going to prison, COVID-19, who by the way 20 minutes earlier the pastor had said was fake, saved me because they were releasing everybody from prison, and if they'd sent me to prison it would have been a death sentence, and so Donald Trump, who again was sent by God, commuted my sentence, and like that was his that was his come to Jesus moment.
Yes, and he it was, I think, 18 minutes into his talk before he ever mentioned personal faith.
Yeah. He's Catholic, by the way, and he's staying Catholic. He didn't tell them that.
They would not, that would not have gone over well.
Kissing the ring of the Pope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Putting the Vatican before country.
Who do you listen to? Our president, Donald Trump, or the Pope, what's sit with his pointy hat that what censored his throne in Rome.
Yeah,
What do you think of that, Stella, huh?
He came to Christ not because he was repentant of his sins, but because of how Christ could help him for the persecution he was facing.
Yeah.
So that's what really strikes me is that like they want to be ostensibly some of the most comfortable, non-persecuted people on earth.
Yeah.
Want so badly to be repressed.
They obsess about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they want to be victim. It's not even just. It doesn't end with wanting to be repressed or oppressed for their religious. I mean, like for their religion. Like these are the people like they fantasize about being attacked by Antifa or like Black Lives Matter thugs or whatever. Like they want to be victimized. They obsess about it. That's all they want is to be victimized. They want to believe they're victimized.
Yeah.
In their fucking, again, like in their petty bourgeois church, with their fucking, Ford F-350 in the parking lot,
Just complete cognitive dissonance.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
They
the mental blocks you have to have up to not be able to like rationalize what they're saying. Like they're so far gone is what strikes me. They're so far gone.
These people's political beliefs are part and parcel of their religious beliefs.
Right.
There is no division between the two. There is no separation or compartmentalization. They are the same thing. So being disagreeing with their political views, pushing back at their political views is an affront to their religion.
Right. And like their religion, as she was saying, like before Donald Trump, I mean, the extent of it was abortion is murder, homosexuality is evil, like that sort of thing. Like their whole religious faith is based in resentment and hatred of others. And like certainly like that's why they love Donald Trump so much, because he triggers the libs and he pisses off all the people that they hate and all the people that they want to piss off.
All the sodomites and baby killers.
Yeah. And like that's why, he's heaven sent, even if he is, a liar and an adulterer, and many of them, will admit this and they know it, but they don't give a shit because God is using him as an instrument to piss off the libs. And that's all they care about. It's just the politics and the faith and the religion of just petty personal grievance and grudge and resentment and just, pissing off the right people. That's all it is. That's all they care about.
I'm going to go ahead because Roger Stone's persecution story is chock full of QAnon dog whistles, which it's worth mentioning. I did some research. He plugged his fightback.store.
No way.
When he mentioned that he wore a Roger Stone did nothing wrong t-shirt on his way out while being escorted out of his house in handcuffs.
What kind of shirts can you get in that store, Barbara?
He is officially selling QAnon t-shirts in that store.
No fucking way.
I was not imagining things when I said he's dropping a lot of cute dog whistles.
Yeah.
Because he is.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows who he's talking to.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and he mentions...
this is... I'm sorry. This is so sad. There's a shirt here, $20, that says, "Liberals can't bully me."
I want that shirt.
How cute is... Well, firstly, yes, you're right. In our context, it actually makes a lot of sense. But like how cute in a way of like how pathetic it is that they're like... This is the equivalent of wearing like a Hot Topic t-shirt with like Tweety Bird on it being like...
I hurt my attitude.
Attitude.
Yeah. Sarcasm, one of my many specialties.
Someone was wearing that shirt.
Oh,
yes.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. Please stop.
But, yeah.
Oh, this is like the fucking like early 2000s or like early 2010s, like, oh my god, you're so random, like Penguin of Doom, like Hot Topic type shit. That's like
Oof.
sort of what it is, you know what I'm saying?
Oof.
Except for like insane reactionaries.
Yeah. During his persecution story, he led off with a real strong like Michael Flynn reference, which got a standing ovation.
No way.
Oh, of course.
He said no.
Oh, they love Flynn,
yes.
man.
He said the words that nobody hacked the DNC, with the direct implication that Seth Rich.
Yeah, I mean, in
leaked.
fact, when he was saying that, I was like, because I was participating. I was like, yeah, Seth Rich, say Seth Rich, because he was, what he was saying, because he was talking again about, how he was railroaded by the Mueller investigation, and like, the Democrats, everybody said I'm a Russian agent, and that Russia hacked the DNC. And then he says, nobody hacked the DNC. Nobody hacked the DNC. Well, if you don't believe that anybody hacked the DNC, then what you're implying is that you believe somebody leaked those emails. And what you mean by that is that Seth Rich leaked those emails. Like that, connection wasn't lost on us, and it wasn't lost on everybody else there either.
Yeah. He refers to General Flynn as a martyr, specifically. And this is the best one. This is a direct quote, verbatim. The corporate-run disinformation media works hand and hoof with the DNC.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yes.
So Mistopheles.
Demons.
Yes.
Yeah,
Demons.
Literal vampire demons, folks.
I was just thinking, too. I mean, Chris, I'll single you out here.
Okay, please.
You are actively engaged in these conspiracy theories and these concepts like Seth Rich and stuff like that. That's a bit inside baseball. Like, not everybody popularly would know about that stuff. And Chris, you traffic in those dark arts as a hobby.
Sure. Yeah.
These people are engaging in this as a lifestyle.
True believers.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm completely discomforted, but I'm sorry, Babs. Please continue.
He says the words deep state a couple of different times and then ends his persecution story with a barn burner of we are in an epic struggle of dark and light, good versus evil, and at this moment, that the survival of Western civilization hinges upon the results of this election.
Hallelujah. Didn't he literally talk about the New World Order?
That was later, but yes. And when he said that the survival of Western civilization hinges on the outcome of this election, he got a raucous standing ovation.
I mean, again,
hooting and hollering.
I laugh because I just have to, but what we witnessed was really a front row seat to just how deeply sick this country is.
It was terrifying. There were moments where I had to really take a moment to, because anyone that's ever met me knows I don't keep looks off my face well. If I'm thinking it shows.
Yeah.
And I had to take a moment and check my expression a few times because at any point there was definitely a feeling that these people could turn on you.
Well, what's funny, what I was thinking about when I was there is that I have an expression of joy on my face, and so does everybody else in the audience. It's for different reasons, but they don't. But they don't.
Yes.
They don't
Yes.
know the difference.
Now, please, sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh no, go ahead, because I'm about to move to his conversion story. So go ahead.
Oh, please,
Yeah.
please.
He goes on at about 30 minutes in, he hits his conversion story and his first real mention of his personal faith, which his conversion was at the hands of Franklin Graham at a Franklin Graham rally. And he, because of course Roger Stone's not going to convert for a Greg Locke or a Randy Coggins, the other evangelical pastor he mentioned, who put him in touch with Greg Locke. He's only going to convert for the chief bottle washer. That's the person that Roger Stone is, who, as always, wants no power, but wants to be as close as he can be to the person who holds power.
Well said.
Just the king of the toadies.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wants the money.
He does.
Yeah.
He wants the money and the access to power.
He wants to be like a Rasputin figure.
Yes.
He wants to be considered this,
desperately.
in the shadows, the master of the dark arts. That's what he wants to be.
But he converted with Franklin Graham. It's worth noting that his wife was not present for this, and the way, as he describes it, he basically set his life and career on a whole new trajectory without consulting his wife, and went home and informed her of the decision, which is...
No, it's not a deeply personal thing. It seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's a thing we all do, isn't it? But he, no real mention of his personal sin or his personal relationship with Christ. It's only how Christ is going to help him out of his current predicament. How Christ is going to stop his persecution. It's all about how poor Roger Stone is getting picked on. Everyone's out to get Roger Stone, and it was so bad that he had to ask Jesus for help.
You know, it's funny. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. He had one particular moment that did not draw thunderous applause from the crowd, and that's when he mentioned that he's opposed to what he called New York's racist stop and frisk policy. Yeah, the crowd. Yeah, the crowd.
Well, he's always been opposed to stop.
Well, yeah,
and
no,
frisk.
he certainly has some. You know, he's called himself a libertarian. He talked about how he was against the war on drugs as well. But I thought it was very funny that like nobody applauded when he called stop and frisk racist.
Really?
Also,
yeah.
He mentioned the people in his life prior to his conversion who had approached him. And the first person he mentioned was the parish priest of his local Catholic church nearest to his home, who I guess is now his spiritual guide, the person who, because he is staying Catholic. So I guess this is now his priest, his parish priest. But I guess this man had approached him before, and when he mentioned my parish priest, Father, whatever his name is, crickets. And then applause for the evangelicals who had approached him. And a standing ovation for Franklin Graham. But yeah, it's an evangelical church in the South. It's not going to be, the Pope worshippers are not going to be well received. So he was wise not to mention that he was going to stay in the faith he was baptized in. However, I will say that Franklin Graham was a little bit remiss, because any decent man of God would have insisted on baptizing him and would have drowned him in a fucking baptismal font as the demon he is.
Wow.
But being close to this man was terrifying, and I didn't like it.
But you
Chris
got to meet
loved
him.
I loved it. Yeah, we
Chris
met him.
loved every
We met
second
him.
of it.
Yeah.
But he closed out his sermon. He mentioned, I'd never heard
the
of this
prophecy,
person before.
Yeah.
We learned a new prophet.
Yeah.
His name is Kim Clement. He passed away.
He's dead?
He's dead. I don't know when he died. I think he probably died in 2016-ish, because I don't see any prophecies he made beyond that. But he was a Christian musician and self-proclaimed prophet, who all of these people knew who this person was. I'd never heard the name in my life. But apparently he prophesized the election of Donald Trump. I don't know if this is after Trump had announced his candidacy or not. I'm not sure. He said the prophecy, I don't know if Stone was paraphrasing, but I'm definitely paraphrasing Stone a little bit with this, because I was dashing this down right before we were supposed to start recording yesterday.
Right.
But he said, a man will rise from the north to save the American nation. His name is Donald, and he will be elected president. And he went on to say, they shall be shocked by how the Lord takes the giant down. The giant being the enemies of America, probably with the implication that it's Iran, because a lot of this guy's prophecies that I was able to find dealt with Iran. One of them being that there would be a contagion that came to America from grasping the hand of Iran.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, which I'm sure they're having a fucking field day with.
Right.
But they shall be shocked by how the Lord takes the giant down. The brothers of Goliath who stand in glee watching America, they will cripple you. You will lose your credit. Look not to Wall Street, but observe. I shall take a simple stone, and he will hold that stone up, and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant that it could only come from me.
That sounds like a person that is on amphetamine.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone involved on
I
amphetamine.
absolutely forgot to mention that Roger Stone, through his entire talk, was grinding his teeth and clenching his jaw. I'm sure there's nothing going on there.
No.
I don't know.
Fuck.
But he was, and then after saying this, Roger Stone very specifically said, I'm not saying that I'm the stone in this prophecy, but I might be.
Yeah.
How do people react to that?
Standing ovation.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All I know is that the Lord saved my life, and he did it for a reason.
And again, like, this is nothing but, like, he doesn't believe this. This is nothing but contempt for his audience.
If he does believe it, it's purely a megalomaniacal...
If he believes that it's an amphetamine delusion.
Amphetamine. Yeah. It is. Yeah, he's Next thing you know, he'll be quoting the Caligula, "I am every man and no man, and therefore a god."
Right.
Like,
I mean, if there was ever a Caligulan figure, I mean, Roger Stone is it.
It really is. But don't try to make me like Roger Stone, please.
Right, of course not.
Because honestly,
he liked me.
He did like you. He loved you.
Please.
He liked
I'm
both
dying
of us.
to know.
He was very, very happy with us.
He was absolutely giddy. So we waited in line, and like there were like again like we got to listen to we got to really do some good people watching and like interacting with the crowd while we were in line. There was a guy that had like a shirt. It was like a Weekend at Bernie's shirt, but it was Weekend at Biden's. This is what he wore to church. Which
my God.
That's pretty good. And there was the guy with the Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president shirt, and like the people in line behind us. I went to go to the bathroom, but apparently they were explicitly talking about QAnon while I was away. But when I got back, they were still talking about it. But like they were talking about Seth Rich, and they were talking about Vince Foster, and then they were talking about the JFK assassination as well. Just a bunch of conspiracy theory type stuff.
All the classics.
Right.
They were
then
playing the hits.
Yeah. Then they started speculating about whether or not Antifa was going to come attack us.
Yeah.
And we met Roger Stone. I asked him to sign a COVID mask. I told him that, if the liberals are going to make me wear this, I might as well have one that will trigger them. And he was just
I love it.
Absolutely giddy about that. So he wrote Roger Stone did nothing wrong on my mask.
I scoured the ground before when we were in line. Trev had asked, a lot of your listeners will know who Trev is. He's another Twitter user, had said to try to get him a Roger Stone. So I found a rock on the ground that was big enough for him to sign.
I love it.
And he was, as soon as I handed it to him, he just busts out laughing, and he was like, "I love it when people bring Stone." Like, yeah.
How weird is that?
Oh, he immediately pegged Chris and I. You could tell as people because everyone else he was like doing the hand grasp and a little prayer with and all that, and he immediately pegged us as not being there for religion.
Yeah, really? He knew we.
Yeah, he can sniff it.
Yeah, he knew we didn't give a shit about God, but I don't think he suspected that we were dirty libs.
Yeah, no, though when I got my picture taken with him, it was evident, like you could absolutely tell I did not want to be near him. I'll send you a copy of the picture.
She soy-faced hard.
I soy-faced
for her picture.
so
yeah,
hard.
I wish I'd thought of that, or I would have done it too.
But I'm leaning away at like a 45-degree angle, like my arm, and that is what's touching him, and I'm like,
oh my
so
God! Well,
bad.
he was soaked in sweat.
He really was.
Here's a question I have: Was he a perfumed man? Did he have a cologne on?
No, I expected him. Not literally. I expected to be able to smell his cologne from 15 feet away. But no, he was not. He did not reek of cologne the way I expected him to.
No,
that's a shame.
No,
yeah.
That's actually a disappointment.
Yeah.
And how did it conclude? You just you parted ways, walked away with your swag, and said see you next week, or what?
That was it.
Oh no, I completely blew off the pastor. Like
I don't think I talked. I don't think the pastor even approached us.
Yeah. Oh no, he was standing there like.
Yeah, I know, but he approached he approached a lot of the other people.
Yeah, he didn't know us. He didn't recognize us. But weirdly enough, he will.
I want to go back.
It was weird though because there were a lot of people who had traveled from out of state. The people behind us
in line. Oh my God, there were people from Virginia and Maryland and shit.
Yeah, the people behind us in line were from
no
Maryland.
Way.
Yeah.
And
he must.
There were people from Louisiana.
He must have loved this shit.
Louisiana.
Well,
there were people from all over.
People from Louisiana would have been up because they're getting out of.
Yeah, look at those clenched teeth, man.
It's a pretty good soy face.
Yeah, I'm proud of my soy face.
Hell yeah.
Not everyone gets to see it. You're one of the select few.
Oh, it's an honor.
The whole thing was just extremely uncomfortable.
I can't even imagine.
I don't know. I would recommend that more people seek out and actually see. I mean, even if not something like this, just go to your mega churches and your evangelical churches once and listen to what these people are being told.
in conclusion, to me, I mean, again, while this is very funny and like objectively funny in this little microcosm thing, like there is a deep darkness that I feel
Yes.
crept over me from this.
Yeah.
And again, like coming back to like, again, the mission of the show is always to try to pull it back, reduce something to, what is the function that these things have in our political economy. And like, this is like an ISIS camp. Like, it's like radicalization.
Yes.
It's like motivation, call to arms. Like, Chris, the smirk on your face is it's just like,
you know what I was imagining? I was imagining them all like doing the monkey bars, like in the Al Qaeda training videos.
Belly crawling.
Again, like, there's the parallels to religious radicalization, again, the cognitive dissonance for them not to be able to see it, like blah, blah, blah. It just strikes me as terrifying.
Yeah,
And moreover too, like, how would liberals combat this?
They can't.
They don't, but you can't, because the liberal doctrine would be like, they need better education, or they need, they just need to be shown the facts that like Jews deserve to live.
The liberal doctrine would be to make fun of them and call them inbred and stupid.
Yeah, it's just rural ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weaponizing, like, that shit, I'm sorry, separately really is fucking terrifying to me and terrible that like people like be like, oh, just like, the weaponizing incest as if that's something to make fun of.
Yeah.
As if it's not like a horrible.
As if you're not making fun of child rape, because that's what incest is.
Exactly. So like, I have there's no way for them to combat this. They are completely impotent against this.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying. And I mentioned in the group chat while we were standing in line that there was, not at the event, but in these people's homes, I promise you, these people have enough firepower to take over like a small National Guard base. Like, that
is terrifying.
Yeah, these are not only affluent, but they're well armed and probably a lot better educated than you would assume.
Yep.
Much better educated. Like, the average person there definitely had at least an undergrad.
Yeah. And for the amount of armaments they have, like, that's the other thing that people need to understand is that, like, this isn't some, like, backwoods yokel shit. Like, guns are expensive. Like,
yes.
Like,
this is like suburban, like a suburban area in a decent sized metropolitan area. Like, this isn't a
very moneyed area.
Yeah, it's a wealthy city of 1 million people. Like, Nashville is not fucking Bumpus's Grove, Alabama. It's a large city. Yeah, and it's not just Nashville. It's every city through the South, through the Midwest, outside of the major metropolitan areas of New York and California. It's everywhere.
Yeah, we should all be like totally discomforted by this and just understand that, think about this. They meaning like conservatives, neo-fascists, white supremacists, whatever you want to call them, which I will lump this into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forgive my ignorance, but like I would lump this into that. This is the extracurricular actions that they're taking to prepare and radicalize themselves for an upcoming something.
Yes.
And it goes beyond the election. I know that like liberals love to like, have this, they think that your civic engagement takes 20 minutes every 4 years or whatever.
When these people talk about culture war, they don't mean war metaphorically.
No.
Culture war is a very real thing that they're willing to draw blood for.
And they are willing to take arms and become enemy combatants.
Yes.
In this,
Not to be alarmist, but these people are terrifying and you should be afraid of them. Buy a gun.
Yep. If it's safe to do so, and if you're interested.
Yeah. Don't put yourself in a financial hardship over it. Just go buy a gun.
If you're mentally
then don't post pictures of it on Twitter.
No, don't talk
Stop
about
doing
your
that.
Stop
doing
talking
that.
about your guns and arming yourselves on Twitter.
Yeah.
Stop it. It's legal to buy a gun. Stop talking about stockpiling guns on Twitter. This is your mother
Can't believe
speaking.
This is something we need to say. Chris, any parting thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just chilling with my dog right now.
I see that.
Yeah.
I wish I had that bliss right now, but instead, I'm going to probably just go into a very cold shower and pretend that this didn't exist. Terrified.
We've got a dinner party this evening we've got to go to.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
These pleasant thoughts.
Well, Babs, thank you very much for joining us and being the on the ground gumshoe reporting correspondent for Eat the Rich.
Yes.
Of burgeoning neo-fascism and religious extremism.
Yes, always willing to do it, provided I don't have to drive longer than a half hour or get up too terribly early.
You're well placed for it.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, from us and Stella, I suppose, stay cool, folks.
Yeah, that'll do it. Stay cool, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor. Until next time.